Nirvana is openly shown to our eyes. This earth where we stand is the pure lotus land, and this very body, the body of Buddha.
This is the first day of this January 1982 7-day sesshin. It was hard to make sesshin decisions for this sesshin because some 35 people couldn't get in. And in making these decisions, we couldn't help but doing injustice and being unfair to people who wanted to be here just as much as everyone who is here in this zendo. I'll try to make up for it at some other time. People sitting in the Buddha hall right now. Is there a wall? Is there a distance? There is, if one thinks there is. Isn't the greatest wall surrounding us the wall of thinking? Can one find a zendo without walls? A zendo which is always open, in which there is no coming and no going. About listening to Teisho. How does one listen? The same goes for listening in Doksan or at any time. How does one listen? In Teisho, hearing words being read or commented upon, is there immediately this one who says, yes, I know this is so, yes, you're right, I agree, I know this is so, or no, this is not so, I disagree, I know it to be different. In listening, there's no need for agreeing or disagreeing. There's only listening. Open, without walls. And at the same time, looking within. To see the meaning of the words within oneself. It's all right to find the most comfortable posture, position for listening to Teisho. And you can change it as often, as frequently as you need to. Can one do so quietly, without a lot of commotion? During the last sesshin, we read quite a number of letters by Zen Master Ta Hui, T-A, capital H-U-I. It's a book from a book called Swampland Flowers, The Letters and Lectures of Zen Master Ta Hui. Most of the letters, or all of those that we wrote, were written to lay people. Ta Hui, incidentally, lived from 1088 to 1163, and we will not this time read from his very interesting biography. There's a teisho on that which is available. Just maybe to mention it, Ta Hui is this remarkable successor to a teacher, Huan Wu, who had spent a lot of time and effort to collect and comment upon a book of koans called the Blue Cliff Record. And Ta Hui burned the wood prints, or whatever the originals were, block print, the blocks, to print this book, because he was afraid that these koans may just be used in a wrong way, superficially, intellectually, being a hindrance to deep, thorough understanding. And he knew this from experience because he had done this himself. Lectured on koans before he really understood. The fact that we do have the Blue Cliff Record today in many, many different translations and editions shows that it survived somehow. Not the original. What's the authentic original? This is the last selection in the book. It is called A Talk to the Assembly, which from the text appears was an assembly of monks. We start on the second page. Which Ta Hui says, if all of you people want to perpetuate the ways of this school, you must know the one suchness of mind and objects. Only then will you have a small share of realization. You shouldn't see me saying such things and then hide your eyes and act dead, forcibly arranging mind and objects in, quote, one suchness. If I don't see and hear anything, then all could be said to be one suchness. That's a forcible arrangement. And only has to do with closing eyes and stopping up ears. And forcing, according to what one wants and has heard. Ta Hui continues, even with all your abilities, how could you arrange for this? Do you want to attain true one suchness of mind and objects? It requires an abrupt, complete break. Pick out the one inside your skull that's doing the false thinking. Take the eighth consciousness, cut it off with one blow. Naturally, you don't apply any arrangements. Well, you could say that's quite an arrangement, to pick out the one inside your skull that's doing the false thinking. Is there a picker? Is there a thinker? Is there a false thinker and a true thinker? Well, there's just a stream of thinking. At times as a thinker, at times as a judge, and of course what she or he judges and thinks about. And who's to pick him or her out? Another judge? Another wanter or doer? Or is there a complete break with this process? With this entire process? What is this break? Ta Hui continues, haven't you read Master Yen Tao's saying, quote, as soon as there's something considered important, it becomes a nest. As soon as there's something considered important, it becomes a nest. Most important nest, the nest of this me, because the me is very important, isn't it? Me and mine. Which includes all that I call my own, or that I belong to, long to belong to, identify with. It's my nest. Which, of course, I defend against other nests. Try to keep clear from encroachment or threat. Ta Hui continues, all of you people have spent your whole lives in Chan communities, inquiring after this matter, capitalized, without any attainment, needless to say. Just read the other day in a teisha where Umwon says, 20 years I've been talking, and no one has understood. So one mustn't think just because there was a Tang period, and great masters and great monasteries, there was attainment and understanding. Among you there are many with grey heads and yellow teeth sitting in your nests your whole lives without being able to come out. Come out. Totally unaware of your error. Can we just listen to this? Or does guilt already arise? Can we listen to that? Those who've become infatuated with the words and phrases of the ancients take amazing words and subtle phrases as their nest. Endless quotations. What do they mean? What does this mean? It's a nest, relying on the sayings of someone else. Where does one stand here, right now? Does one understand? Those who take delight in the verbal meaning of the scriptures take the scriptures as their nest. Those who've become infatuated with quiescent silence without words or speech take shutting their eyes, sitting motionless under the black mountain inside the ghost cave as their nest. Cherishing this silence. Who is the cherisher? Is there one? If there's no cherisher, then there's no silence. All the above have things they consider important where their infatuations lie. Is one even aware of one's infatuations? Or does one take so much for granted, for good, for moral, for religious, for Buddhist? Where does your infatuation lie? Can you even look? Or you're afraid of losing something which feels so good, so right, so comfortable, so comforting, so nest-like. Lacking the qualities of great men of power to step back and recognize their error, they think of what they consider important as extraordinary, as wondrous and subtle, as peace and security, as the ultimate, as liberation. What is this stepping back and looking? Is one free to do that? Or is one tied? And what is the tie? Can it be examined freely? This is what liberation means: freedom, becoming free. Means. It's not a one-time glimpse, a one-time kensho, and then clinging to that, to the idea of it, the memory of it, all that goes with it. And the idea of progress toward full enlightenment. Progress. What is progress? Other than a concept. And what is full enlightenment? Isn't it a concept for you right now? Connected with time, with future, which is all a process of thinking? In boundless clarity in which there are no walls, no doors, no barriers. There is no thought of full enlightenment. and no comparison. But it's a comfort to think of that. It gives me time. Future lives, whatever that means. I don't really know, but I've heard it. I've been told about it so much. What is this life, this moment, this instant? Is it clear? Or is it preoccupied with future lives? Lacking the quality of great people of power to step back and recognize one's error. The fact of infatuation. They think of what they consider important as extraordinary, as wondrous and subtle, as peace and security, as the ultimate, as liberation. For those who entertain such thoughts, even if Buddha appeared in the world, it would be to no avail. It was said by one of the three brothers, Karamazov, Dostoevsky's novel, that if Christ appeared again, he would be nailed to the cross again, because he would be an irritation to the church. Ta Hui continues, in the teachings they are called deluded, stupid, and confused. Why? It's because you're deluded, you cling to the false as if it were true. You cling. Why? Doesn't one need to find out if one finds that one is clinging? Or does one just rationalizes? This is good, this is right, this has been recommended, this has been approved. Authorized, sanctioned. I want to know why I cling. Go to the bottom of it. Because this great matter, this work, is about freedom and nothing else. It's not about nest building. Ta Hui continues, because you're stupid, you fall down into what you consider important and cannot move or turn. If there's nothing aroused in the mind and no attachment to phenomena, then there's nothing considered important. With nothing considered important, naturally you're full of raw-boned power, without desire or dependence, and master of the Dharma. Dharma meaning truth, life, what is, as it is. Master of it? Or are you that? with nothing considered important, naturally you're full of raw-boned power. We don't know that. That's why we cling to devices to get raw-boned power. All kinds of things can arouse us. How is it when there's nothing to arouse one? Artificially, so to speak. No dependency on anything. One has never tried it out. And there's no obstruction, no leaky channels. And as it happens, this whole universe is raw-boned power, energy, life. From which we manage to isolate ourselves in a nest of importance. Ta Hui continues, so right now you want such realization, don't you? It's not hard either. Simply be equanimous in your mind without any defiling attachments. Equanimous meaning no judgment. Whatever comes up, hu or mu, or the breathing, not a hairbreadth of separation. It's equanimity. Not thinking, if this was only over, if I felt better, more powerful, more energetic, less resentful, more withered, less drowsy, then I could start working. But as it happens, what are you right now? Moo, oh, right there. Who is the wanter? Who is the changer? The doer, the thinker, the dreamer. It's a separation. Which we bring into being, but it's not necessary. It's just what is. What is it? Who, mo? With a yearning. Not for something that one imagines, visualizes, brings up in memory. One doesn't know. Simply be equanimous in your mind without any defiling attachments. What are defiling attachments? Thoughts of sentient beings and thoughts of Buddha. Thoughts of the world and thoughts of leaving the world. Thoughts of seeking detachment and enlightened knowledge. All these are called defiling attachments. What he says is to seek detachment as a defiling attachment. Can attachments come into awareness? That's the big question. An awareness which does not judge. Because then it's not awareness, and it's just thinking and judging. Awareness which is clear and full of space. In that nothing needs to be sought. because everything is there. Ta Hui continues, just boldly apply your spiritual energy before desire arises. Before desire arises. And leap out with a single bound. This mind will be shining bright, alone and liberated. Apply energy before desire arises. It's tremendous energy and attention. Desire is inattention. One has thinking again, thinking of things one wants or thinking of things one doesn't want, and embroiled in that, entangled in that. And then getting entangled in the desire not to have thoughts and not to have desires, which is just another desire. Can the who or the moo be right there before desire arises? Is it possible? It's not a theoretical question. Can one do it? Question it. Over and over again. Not worrying about failures. Just whatever has happened is over with, finished. Leave it, and it'll leave you. And question freshly. Some people say, is this longing or this yearning that you sometimes speak about, isn't that also desire? I don't know. Is it? In desire there's images of what one wants. One sees it, one smells it, one feels it. And in one's thoughts, one wants that, or one revels in it. Or the opposite, one runs away from it. One dreads it, fears it. This deep yearning has no image. It's a flame or a fire. Maybe very small. Like one match burning. In the darkness of not knowing. Who or moo? Or just this breathing, what is it? Not asking for answers. That's our daily life. Looking for solutions and asking for answers. That's the life of hope and disappointment. A new hope and new disappointment. Or fulfillment, which fans more desire. Not knowing the answer. It's a new way. Can one try it out? Not knowing. Really, truly not knowing what to expect. It allows this brain to quiet down. Doesn't need to project things to make us happy and hopeful. Can be quiet and intensely alert and awake. And that's all. Ta Hui continues, the instant you awaken to this, turn above it. Then naturally it will be clear everywhere and revealed in everything. Turn above it. Don't get stuck. Don't make a new nest. That nest building instinct is so strong. It's a whole conditioning inherited from the animals to build safe havens, which we delude ourselves into thinking are safe havens because they're not. Always in the danger of being attacked, criticized, destroyed. The instant you awaken to this, to just this, turn above it. Don't cling. Don't immediately reflect upon it. Hey, I am somewhere. Let it go. The thought, let the thought go. The need to know where one is. Then naturally it will be clear everywhere and revealed in everything. And when you get to such a stage, you must not watch over it. Oh, this instant, that was good. How can I keep it? Bring it back. Hold on to it. That's the nest builder. And the clarity is no longer there. It's obscured by nest building. If you watch over it, Ta Hui says, then there's something you consider important. And as soon as there's something considered important, this mind leaks. Then it's called the leaking mind, not the equanimous mind of even sameness. Even sameness, says Ta Hui, means good and evil are equal. This is not a philosophical consideration. Good and evil are equal. It just means the mind is not in its judging attitude, in its judging mode. Judgments are short-circuited. Energy doesn't reach there. That part of the brain sort of lies without fuel. Even sameness means good and evil are equal. Turning away and turning towards are equal. Inner truth and outer events are equal. Ordinary and sage are equal. Finite and infinite are equal. Essence and function are equal. Which means what? Simple. No opposites. No opposition. No comparison or standards of any kind. This truth can only be known by those who experience it. All of you people who haven't yet experienced it simply must do so. Only when you've experienced it completely can you be called a true leaver of home. Home meaning the home of old ruts, grooves, habits. This enormous momentum of conditioning. In the family, in the school, social, economic, political, religious, etc. Leaving it, is it possible? Those whose minds don't experience this and who seek the experience outside of mind are called home-leaving outsiders. They're not fit to plant weeds. No need to plant weeds. Seeking experience outside of mind, in forms, in symbols, in activities, ceremonies. Is there awareness? Is there standing back? A standing back and looking at the whole scene, inside and out? Is it absolutely essential and important that one understands this mind? How it works and how it works us? This mind, Ta Hui continues, and here he capitalizes it. This mind is broad and vast, without divisions, without sides or surface. Means no barriers, no boundaries, no limitations, nothing. All the Buddhas, numerous as the sands, attaining true awakening, the mountains, the rivers, and the great earth, the profuse array of myriad images, are all within this mind. We get so confused. We think there are some realities that are outside this mind that we have to put ourselves in touch with. Are there any realities outside this mind? Or is it all mind created? The mind creates it and then the mind seeks it. This mind can put names on everything, says Ta Hui. This mind can put names on everything, but nothing can put a name on it. Therefore, all the Buddhas and patriarchs could not but go along with your mistake and attach names to it, calling it true suchness, Buddha nature, true nature, enlightenment, nirvana, imposing all kinds of different appellations. Or emptiness. It's all words. But the word isn't it. Word is a word. What is beyond words? What is it that words are pointing to? Can't put a name on it. Because in the world of sentient beings, views are biased and insensitive, says Ta Hui. With all sorts of differentiation, they set up these different names to enable you, amidst differentiation, to recognize this mind that has no distinctions. It's not that this mind has differences. Buddha said one may wish to reveal it with comparisons, but in the end, there is no comparison that can explain this. Saying it's broad and vast has already limited it, and to say nothing of wanting to enter this broad and vast realm, to say nothing of wanting to enter this broad and vast realm with a limited mind. Saying it is broad and vast has already limited it. To say nothing of wanting to enter this broad and vast realm with a limited mind. That's what we're trying to do all the time. That's what we're doing. Imagining that with the limited mind of imagination we're entering something. It's still imagination. What is this limited mind that wishes to enter? Isn't it ambition? Greed? Envy? Jealousy? A yearning for power? For importance? Such a craving to feel important, even a little bit important. Recognized, approved of, loved. Wanting to do the right thing. Wanting just to be like everybody else. Wanting, fearing, expecting. Can that be glimpsed? Can it be seen? Of course it can. It's not so difficult. Not so difficult to see one's motives. When one person once said, why do we have to know or see our motives? Because they distort and delude. Obviously, if there aren't any motives, there's nothing to see. But if there are hidden motives, don't they need to be laid bare, come into the light of awareness, so one doesn't delude oneself about one's absence of motives or unselfish motives? Even if you managed thereby to enter with a limited mind, it would be like taking a ladle to ladle out the ocean. Though the ladle is filled, how much could it hold? There's this famous story of a man coming to see a Zen master, a very intellectual person, and asking for knowledge or for his teaching. And they're having tea together, and he just keeps pouring the tea, and the tea overflows the cup. Meaning the cup must be empty to receive. Or recently it was said, if you want tea, you have to have a cup, you have to have a form in which to receive it. Else there's no way in which to receive the tea. And yet here, Ta Hui says, though the ladle is filled, how much could it hold? It's determined on the size of the cup. Or else it overflows, it isn't contained. It goes to waste. Is there an emptiness which is no container? No container, because a container has walls, has limits. Though the ladle is filled, how much could it hold? Nevertheless, the water in the ladle before it went in there was identical to the limitless water in the ocean. Likewise, because your world is just this big or this small, and you feel satisfied with it, this limitless world adapts to your capacity and fills it up. It's not that the water of the great ocean is only this much. Therefore, Buddha said, it's like the great ocean not differing whether mosquitoes or titans drink its water. All get their fill. Mosquitoes and titans symbolize the difference between great and small. Basically, in essence, this mind doesn't have so many differences. Just don't create so many views and see this mind. Then you'll be able to know all kinds of differences too. Does one come with a container? Or with nothing, just open, open. Even though in distress, whatever, can it open up? One person mentioned being so depressed, can it open up? Which means no division from it, no separation. It doesn't matter how you feel this moment or the next. What's there is there. It's moo. Or just this breathing, whatever that is. What is it? What is it? We will end here for today. The four vows.
All beings without number,
I vow to liberate endless blind passions. I vow to uproot Dharma gates beyond measure. I vow to penetrate the great way of Buddha. I vow to attain all being without number. I vow to liberate endless blind passions. I vow to uproot Dharma gates beyond measure. I vow to penetrate